Something's not right in the world of Miss USA. Just hours before the 2025 pageant was set to crown its new queen, the reigning title holder, Alma Cooper, dropped a bombshell no one saw coming. The 23-year-old beauty queen took to Instagram with a cryptic message that left fans stunned and organizers scrambling. She announced she wouldn't be attending her own crowning ceremony. No farewell walk, no final wave, no passing of the crown, and the timing, mere hours before the big event. Now, the question echoing across social media is simple. Why? Why would Miss USA 2024, a woman known for her discipline, grace, and drive, suddenly decide to step away at the very moment she was meant to shine? That mystery has everyone talking, and it might reveal far more than anyone expected. Asterisk, the news broke like wildfire. Alma Cooper's Instagram post went live just hours before the 2025 Miss USA competition began, and within minutes, fans were refreshing their feeds in disbelief. She shared a carousel of elegant photos, her wearing the Miss USA sash, poised and powerful, but her caption told a very different story. After much consideration, I've made the extremely difficult decision not to attend this year's Miss USA pageant and crowning ceremony, she wrote. Her words carried calmness, but also finality, like a queen stepping away from her throne on her own terms. She spoke of closing this chapter and holding her self-worth high, just like the crown she once wore. It wasn't the announcement itself that shocked people. It was when she made it. Pageant insiders claim this kind of withdrawal, especially hours before the final show, is practically unheard of. The reigning queen is supposed to hand over the crown to her successor, not vanish before the lights come on. So, when Alma said goodbye to Miss USA in such a quiet yet powerful way, fans instantly knew there had to be more to the story. Asterisk, at first glance, Alma's message seemed like a graceful farewell, dignified, poised, and deeply personal. But for those reading between the lines, her words hinted at something heavier. When Alma wrote about finishing what I started with integrity and my self-worth held high, it didn't sound like a typical pageant goodbye. It sounded like a statement, maybe even a quiet rebellion. Fans immediately began dissecting her post, pointing out how carefully she chose her words. Integrity, self-worth, closing a chapter. Those aren't phrases you use unless something behind the scenes has tested them. Reports suggest that Alma's decision wasn't sudden, that she had been wrestling with it for weeks. Still, she never publicly addressed any tension or disagreements with the Miss USA Organisation. That silence only deepened the mystery. Some online believe her statement was her way of taking back control, walking away on her own terms, rather than being forced into a moment she no longer believed in. And if that's true, it changes everything about how fans see this story, because sometimes the real message isn't in what's said, it's in what's left unsaid. Asterisk, Alma Cooper isn't your typical pageant queen, not even close. Before she ever wore a crown, she was already breaking barriers and redefining what success looked like. She graduated from the US Military Academy at West Point, finishing in the top 50 of her class, an achievement that alone would make headlines. But Alma didn't stop there. She went on to run 3 marathons in just 10 months, all while pursuing her studies. And if that wasn't impressive enough, she earned a spot as a Knight Hennessy Fellow at Stanford University, one of the most elite programs in the world. This isn't someone who backs down easily. This is someone who thrives on challenge, structure, and purpose. So when a woman with that kind of discipline suddenly steps away from the spotlight, right at the height of her reign, it raises eyebrows. Her record shows a pattern of excellence, but also independence. Alma has never been one to conform to expectations just because others say she should. And that's what makes her decision so powerful. She didn't walk away in defeat. She walked away in control, with her dignity intact and her values unshaken. But this isn't the first time Miss USA has been caught in controversy, and what came before might explain everything that's happening now. Asterisk, if Alma Cooper's sudden exit feels familiar, that's because the Miss USA crown has been surrounded by turmoil for months. Just earlier in 2024, Noelia Voigt, the previous Miss USA, made history not for her victory, but for relinquishing her title. She became the first queen in the pageant's 73-year history to give up her crown. At the time, Noelia cited her mental health, but rumors quickly swirled that there was much more behind the decision. Behind the glitter and glam, whispers of a toxic work environment began to circulate. Multiple insiders hinted that contestants felt silenced and unsupported, leading to public pressure on the organization to change. Not long after, then CEO Layla Rose stepped down amid allegations of misconduct and mismanagement, claims she strongly denied. Enter Tom Broder, the new CEO, who promised a fresh start and a new era for Miss USA. So, when Alma, the very next queen, quietly announced her decision to skip the 2025 finals, fans connected the dots. Could history be repeating itself? Reports claim Broder personally reached out, encouraging Alma to attend in whatever capacity she felt comfortable. But her silence spoke volumes. Despite his warm words and public support, she chose to step away anyway. And that's when the speculation exploded. Was Alma distancing herself from a system she no longer trusted? Or was this just a personal decision by a governist by the internet? Either way, the timing and the pattern is impossible to ignore. Asterisk, the misuse organization didn't stay silent for long. Within hours of Alma's announcement, CEO Tom Broder took to Instagram with a surprisingly emotional statement. His tone was warm, supportive, almost protective. He revealed that the Miss USA office had been in touch with Alma and her team since day one, and that they had hoped to welcome her back to the 2025 competition. In any capacity, she felt comfortable. It was a message of reassurance, one meant to calm the growing noise online. Broder went further, calling Alma our queen, even if we didn't start this journey with her. It was a gracious, but some fans saw it differently. To them, it felt like damage control, a way to soften the optics of yet another Miss USA queen stepping away under mysterious circumstances. Still, his words struck a respectful tone, something the organization desperately needed after months of scrutiny. "We honor you, Alma," he wrote. "You are forever our Miss USA 2024. That final line resonated, not because of what it said, but because of what it admitted, that even without walking the stage, Alma had made her mark. She didn't need the crown ceremony to validate her reign. Her exit, if anything, made her reign more iconic. But the story didn't stop there, because, as the organization tried to control the narrative, the public had already moved to its next obsession. What really happened, and what were fans saying online? Asterisk, the internet erupted within minutes of Alma's announcement. Hashtag Alma reveals all, and hashtag Miss USA controversy began trending across X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. Fans flooded comment sections with a mix of shock, empathy, and outrage. Many praised Alma for her graceful honesty, calling her decision a masterclass in dignity under pressure. Others couldn't help but draw comparisons to previous Miss USA resignations, arguing that something deeper might be wrong within the organization. One viral tweet read, "First Noelia, now Alma. When queens keep walking away, maybe the crown isn't as shiny as it looks." On TikTok, fan edits celebrating Alma's journey racked up millions of views overnight. Clips of her pageant walk, interview answers, and heartfelt speeches now overlaid with emotional music and captions like, "She didn't need the crown, she is the crown." But not everyone saw it as a fairy tale ending. A vocal corner of the internet began speculating about behind-the-scenes politics, pointing to old interviews and subtle remarks from former contestants. Theories ranged from burnout to brand conflicts, though nothing was confirmed. Amid the noise, one thing became clear. Alma's story struck a nerve. Fans weren't just mourning a queen's departure, they were questioning the system itself. And in a world where image is everything, the truth, or what fans believed to be the truth, became the real headline. Asterisk, beyond the glitter and gossip. Alma's resignation carried a silent, powerful message, one that echoed far beyond the Miss USA stage. Her words may have been calm, but the subtext was unmistakable. Authenticity over appearance. Purpose over perfection. In a world where beauty queens are expected to smile through pressure, Alma chose vulnerability instead. She didn't name names, expose secrets, or create scandal, yet her quiet exit spoke volumes. It challenged the pageant's glossy narrative and forced both fans and organizers to confront a difficult truth. What happens when ambition collides with exhaustion and image overshadows integrity? Industry insiders say her decision might inspire a new wave of contestants who prioritize mental health and self-worth over competition. Alma's grace under scrutiny became a statement not of defeat, but of self-liberation. As the lights dim on this chapter, one thing is certain. Alma didn't just walk away from the crown. She redefined what it means to wear one. And in doing so, she may have changed the future of the Miss USA legacy forever.